The stars shone like cold diamonds against the black void as the Earthship Horizon drifted silently through space. Commander Olivia Reeves sat in her captain's chair, her eyes fixed on the main screen that showed an unexplored section of space. She brushed a strand of brown hair from her face and took a deep breath. "Status report," she said, her voice calm but firm. Lieutenant Adam Winters turned from his communications station. "All systems normal, Commander. We're approaching the edge of charted space. Sensors are picking up an unusual energy pattern from the Theta-9 system." Olivia nodded. "Interesting. That system wasn't scheduled for our survey mission." "No, ma'am," said Navigation Officer Ben Miller, "but the energy signature doesn't match anything in our database." The Horizon had been on its routine 3-month survey mission when they detected the strange signal. The ship was Earth's Pride, a state-of-the-art science vessel built in 2157, equipped with the latest faster-than-light drive. Even so, Earth was still new to deep space exploration compared to other species they had yet to encounter. "Alter course to Theta-9, Olivia ordered. "Let's check it out." "Course altered," Ben confirmed. "ETA 3 hours at standard speed." Olivia stood and walked to the large window that offered a view of the stars. Humanity had achieved faster-than-light travel only 30 years ago. In that time, they had explored dozens of star systems but had found little evidence of advanced alien life. Most planets they discovered were either barren rocks or hosted only simple organisms. The Horizon continued its journey through the darkness. The crew of 45 went about their duties efficiently. They were scientists, explorers, and the best Earth had to offer. Adam Winters suddenly straightened in his chair. "Commander, I'm picking up a transmission. It's faint. Sounds like a distress call." Olivia rushed to his station. "Can you clean it up?" Adam's fingers moved quickly over his console. "Working on it. The language isn't in our translator's database, but the tone, it sounds urgent." "Send it to Dr. Rivera in linguistics," Olivia ordered. "And increase our speed. If someone needs help out there, we need to move fast." "Increasing to maximum safe speed," Ben acknowledged. "New ETA 1 hour." The hour passed with tense anticipation. Dr. Rivera worked frantically to decode the message but had little success. As they approached the Theta-9 system, the sensors began to paint a clearer picture. "Commander," called out Science Officer Grace Howard, "I'm detecting debris. Lots of it. Looks like wreckage." Olivia frowned. "From what?" "A settlement, I think," Grace replied, her voice shaking slightly. "There was a colony on the 4th planet. Now there's just ruins." The main screen shifted to show a green-blue planet that looked eerily like Earth. But where there should have been signs of civilization, there were only smoking craters and destruction. "Life signs?" Olivia asked, dreading the answer. "Faint readings. Some survivors," Grace confirmed. "And, wait, I'm detecting an energy signature leaving the system. A ship, maybe, moving fast. Can we follow it?" "Negative," Ben replied. "It's already beyond our tracking range." Olivia made her decision quickly. "Prepare a landing party. Medical team priority. We need to help those survivors and find out what happened here." Within 30 minutes, Olivia led a team of 12 to the surface of Theta-9's 4th planet. The sight that greeted them was worse than they had imagined. A once thriving agricultural colony had been reduced to ashes. Buildings were flattened. Fields of alien crops burned. The air was thick with smoke and the scent of death. "Spread out," Olivia ordered. "Find survivors." The team moved through the ruins, their environmental suits protecting them from the smoke. Dr. Sam Klein, the ship's chief medical officer, directed his staff to set up a temporary clinic in one of the few buildings still standing. It was Grace, who found the first survivor. A humanoid alien with pale blue skin lay trapped under a fallen beam. The alien's 4 eyes widened in fear as Grace approached. "It's okay," Grace said softly, though she knew the alien couldn't understand her. She held up her hands to show she meant no harm. "We're here to help." With the help of engineer Frank Diaz, they lifted the beam and freed the alien. Dr. Klein. rushed over to treat its injuries. Over the next few hours, they found 23 survivors. The aliens were called the Iridians. They learned through crude sign language and the help of Dr. Rivera's partial translations. They were peaceful, farmers who had settled here 10 years ago. An elderly Iridian with deep wisdom in his 4 eyes managed to communicate what had happened. He drew pictures in the dirt and made gestures that Dr. Rivera slowly interpreted. They came without warning, Dr. Rivera translated. Ships from the sky. They call themselves the Volari. They took our food, our resources. When we resisted, they destroyed everything. The old Iridian's hands trembled as he drew a symbol in the dirt. A curved blade crossed with what looked like a bolt of lightning. The mark of the Volari Empire, he seemed to be saying. They believe all other life is beneath them. They take what they want. And they are heading toward your world next. Olivia felt cold dread wash over her. Ask him how he knows they're heading to Earth. After more translation efforts, Dr. Rivera looked up with fear in her eyes. They interrogated the colony leaders before killing them. They were very interested in Earth's location once they learned the Iridians had made contact with humans through passing trade ships. The Volari, they collect worlds, especially water-rich worlds like Earth. Olivia stood immediately. We need to warn Earth, now. She tapped her communication device. Winter, prepare the ship for immediate departure, maximum speed. But the survivors, Dr. Klein began. We'll take those who want to come, Olivia said firmly. The rest can be moved to the underground shelters that are still intact. We have to get this warning back to Earth. They worked quickly, helping the Iridians who were too injured to stay and making the others as safe as possible in the underground. Storage facilities that had survived the attack. As they prepared to leave, the old Iridian grasped Olivia's arm. He spoke urgently, pointing to the sky. He says the Volari are efficient, Dr. Rivera translated. They never leave witnesses. They'll be back to finish the job, and he says they have a head start on you. A scout ship left just before we arrived, heading toward Earth's coordinates. Olivia's blood ran cold. Then we have no time to lose. Within an hour, the Horizon was back in space, pushing its engines beyond safety limits. But as they reached the edge of the system, the sensors blared a warning. Commander, Adam shouted. Ship detected. It matches the energy signature we saw leaving the planet. Evasive maneuvers, Olivia ordered. But it was too late. The view screen lit up with weapons fire. The Volari ship was smaller than the Horizon, but far more heavily armed. The first blast rocked the science vessel, knocking crew members to the floor. Shields at 60%, Frank yelled from engineering. We weren't built for this kind of fight. Olivia gripped her chair as another blast hit them. Return fire, and prepare a message buoy with everything we've learned. Set it to launch toward Earth if our communications fail. The Horizon fought bravely, but it was no match for the Volari warship. One by one, the systems failed. Crew members fell. The hull breached in multiple sections. In her final moments at the command chair, Olivia activated the message buoy. As it shot away from the dying ship, she had one hope, that Earth would have time to prepare for what was coming. The last thing Adam Winters heard before the final explosion was Commander Olivia's voice, calm even now, sending one last message toward home. This is Commander Olivia Reeves of Earthship Horizon. We are under attack. The Volari are coming. Prepare yourselves. They are coming for Earth. Dr. Nathan Blackwood stared at the message playing on the screen for the 5th time. His office in the Earth Defense Headquarters in Washington, D.C. was silent except for Commander Olivia Reeves's final warning. The message was broken and filled with static, but her words were clear enough. The Volari are coming. Prepare yourselves. They are coming for Earth. Nathan ran his hand through his graying hair and pressed a button on his desk. Get me Fleet Admiral Pearson. Now. Within minutes, the large screen on his wall showed Admiral Catherine Pearson's face. Her expression was grim. She had already seen the message. Is it real? Nathan asked. Catherine nodded. The Horizon was due to report in 3 days ago. We've lost all contact, and our deep space monitoring stations detected an explosion in the Theta 9 system around the time this message was sent. How much time do we have? If these Volari have ships as fast as the report suggests, maybe 2 weeks, maybe less. Nathan stood and walked to the window. Outside, people went about their normal lives, unaware that everything was about to change. Call an emergency meeting of the Global Defense Council. 1 hour. The next days passed in a blur of activity. The world's leaders were informed. Military forces were mobilized. Space defenses were put on high alert. But Earth had never faced an alien invasion. Their weapons and ships were designed for exploration and defense against known threats, not an advanced alien empire. At the lunar base, Admiral Pearson assembled Earth's defensive fleet, 50 ships of various sizes. It was everything Earth could put into space on short notice. She stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Defender, looking at the tactical display. "It's not enough," said Lieutenant Paul Martinez, her tactical officer. He was young, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. "If the Volari are as advanced as the Horizon reported, we need a different approach." "What do you suggest?" Catherine asked. Paul pointed to the display. "We can't match them in open space, but we know our system better than they do. I suggest we use Jupiter's gravity well to set a trap. Hide most of our ships behind the moons of Jupiter. When they enter the system, we can catch them in a crossfire." Catherine studied the plan. It was risky, but it might work. "Do it," she ordered. On Earth, Nathan coordinated global preparations. Underground shelters were made ready. Military forces were positioned at key locations. Scientists worked day and night to improve weapon systems based on the fragmented data from the Horizon. Exactly 10 days after receiving the warning, the long-range sensors detected multiple ships entering the solar system. "They're here," Nathan said softly as the alert came through. He was in the command center beneath the Pentagon, surrounded by military officers and government officials. God help us all. The first wave of Volari ships bypassed the outer planets and headed straight for Mars. The human colony there, a small research base with 3,000 people, had minimal defenses. The Volari ships opened fire without warning or communication. Mars. "Colony is under attack," shouted a communications officer. "They're requesting immediate assistance." But there was no help to send. The Mars colony fell within hours. Next came the lunar bases. Admiral Pearson ordered the civilians evacuated, but there wasn't enough time. The Volari destroyed the installations with cold efficiency. When the main Volari fleet approached Jupiter, Paul Martinez's trap was sprung. Earth ships emerged from hiding places among Jupiter's moons, catching the alien vessels in a surprise attack. For a brief moment, it seemed Earth might score a victory. "Direct hit on the lead ship," reported an officer on the Defender's bridge. But the Volari recovered quickly. Their ships were faster and more heavily armed. They surrounded the Earth, vessels cutting off escape routes. "All ships fall back to Earth orbit," Catherine ordered. "We make our stand there. Only 23 ships made it back to Earth. The rest were destroyed or disabled near Jupiter. Lieutenant Paul Martinez's ship barely survived, limping back with severe damage." As the Earth fleet regrouped, a massive Volari vessel, twice the size of the others, entered Earth orbit. A transmission came through on all frequencies and screens across the planet. The alien that appeared had gray skin with ridge-like features and eyes that glowed with a cold yellow light. He wore ornate armor and spoke in a deep, rumbling voice that the translation computers struggled to interpret. "People of Earth, I am Emperor Kral of the Volari Dominion. Your planet is now mine. Surrender and submit to Volari rule, and many of you will be permitted to live as servants. Resist, and you will be exterminated. You have 6 Earth hours to lay down your weapons." Nathan Blackwood addressed the United Nations emergency session minutes later. "We do not surrender. Humanity does not bow to threats. We stand and fight." The decision was unanimous. Earth would resist. When the 6 hours passed, the Volari attack began. Their ships bombarded military installations from orbit. Landing craft pierced Earth's atmosphere, bringing troops to the surface. The first battles were fought in Asia and Europe, then spread to every continent. 3 weeks into the invasion, Chicago lay in ruins. Former Marine Sergeant Kelly Daniels led a group of survivors through the broken streets. At 35, Kelly had thought her fighting days were over. Now she carried a rifle again and taught civilians how to set traps and ambush alien patrols. "Stay low," she whispered to the 10 people following her. They were heading to an underground train station that served as a temporary safe house. Volari patrol ship hummed overhead, its searchlight sweeping the rubble. Kelly and her group froze, pressing themselves against a collapsed wall until the ship passed. "They're looking for something specific," said Jake Russo, a former police officer now part of Kelly's resistance cell. "That's the third sweep today." "Whatever it is, we don't want them to find it," Kelly replied. "Come on, we're almost there." At the underground station, hundreds of people had taken shelter. Doctors treated the wounded with dwindling supplies. Children huddled with parents. The air was thick with fear, but also determination. Kelly found the communications setup where a young tech specialist named Zachary Bennett worked tirelessly to intercept Volari transmissions. "Any news from other cities?" Kelly asked. Zachary nodded, his eyes red from lack of sleep. "The Rocky Mountain complex is still secure. That's where the government relocated. They're coordinating what's left of our military." "And the Volari? They've established bases in every major city. But they're having trouble with the oceans. Their ships don't handle water well, especially deep water. The Navy has had some success with submarine attacks." This was the first piece of good news Kelly had heard in days. "Can you get a message to the mountain complex? Tell them what we're seeing here. The Volari are searching for something specific." As Zachary worked on the communication, a doctor named Lisa Moore approached Kelly. "Sergeant Daniels, I need to show you something." Lisa led Kelly to a makeshift lab she had set up in what was once a ticket office. "I've been studying tissue samples from a dead Volari soldier. They have an unusual sensitivity to certain sound frequencies, ones humans can't hear. It causes them physical pain. You're saying we could create a weapon? A sonic weapon?" "Possibly, but I need better equipment." Kelly looked at the determined faces around her, Zachary with his intercepted communications, Lisa with her discovery, the civilians learning to fight back. Maybe, just maybe, humanity had a chance. Above them, the Volari continued their search, unaware that in hidden places across the globe, humans were finding their weaknesses and preparing to strike back. 3 months passed since the first Volari ships entered Earth's atmosphere. Winter had settled over the northern hemisphere, bringing snow that covered the ruins of once great cities. Deep in the Rocky Mountains, the last organized human government worked from a massive underground complex that had once been a military storage facility. Dr. Nathan Blackwood stood in the main control room, studying the large map that showed Volari-controlled territories in red. Most of the land masses were now red. Small blue dots represented human resistance strongholds. There were fewer blue dots every day. "We lost contact with the Sydney bunker," reported a tired officer. "The Brisbane facility is still responding, but they're surrounded." Nathan rubbed his eyes. He hadn't slept more than 4 hours a night since the invasion began. "What about the underwater bases?" Admiral Catherine Pearson, who had survived the space battle to become one of the resistance leaders, pointed to several locations in the oceans. "Still secure. The Volari seem reluctant to venture into deep water. Our submarine fleet remains our most effective weapon." The door to the control room opened and Zachary Bennett entered. The young communications expert had been brought to the mountain complex after his work. Intercepting Volari messages had caught the attention of military leadership. "Sir, I've made progress breaking their transmission codes," Zachary said. "They're using a quantum frequency that shifts every 12 hours, but I've found a pattern." "What have you learned?" Nathan asked. "They're calling for reinforcements," Zachary replied. "Their invasion force wasn't as large as we feared. Emperor Kral only brought about a third of their fleet. The rest is coming, but it will take time. Months, maybe." Catherine leaned forward. "That gives us a window. If we can push back before their reinforcements arrive." "There's more," Zachary continued. "They're especially interested in our oceans. They're collecting water samples, studying marine life. Something about Earth's water composition fascinates them." Nathan was about to respond when an alarm sounded. A security officer rushed in. Sir, we have a group of civilians at the north entrance. They've come from Chicago. Chicago? Catherine looked surprised. That's Volari territory. How did they get through? Minutes later, Sergeant Kelly Daniels stood in the control room, her clothes worn and dirty from weeks of travel. With her was Lisa Moore, the doctor who had been studying Volari biology. We traveled at night, Kelly explained. Avoided main roads. Lost some good people on the way. Her voice was flat, but her eyes showed the pain of those losses. But Dr. Moore's research was too important to risk sending electronically. Lisa stepped forward. She looked exhausted but determined. I've confirmed my findings about Volari sensitivity to sound. They can be incapacitated by specific sonic frequencies, around 25,000 hertz, just above human hearing range. She placed a small device on the table. This emitter affects any Volari within 30 feet. They collapse in pain. We used it to escape Chicago. For the first time in months, Nathan felt a spark of hope. Can we amplify this? Create larger emitters? With the right equipment, yes, Lisa nodded, but the range is still limited. We'd need thousands of these devices for a global effect. Catherine studied the small emitter. What if we use the HARP array in Alaska? If we can retake that facility, we could potentially broadcast this frequency over an entire continent. The array was damaged in the initial attacks, said one of the officers, but we have an engineer who might be able to help. Derek Wright. He worked on the original installation. Derek Wright was brought up from the lower levels, where he had been helping maintain the complex's power systems. He was in his 50s, with calloused hands and practical eyes that lit up when he saw the sonic emitter. HARP won't work, he said after examining Lisa's device. Not for this, but... He paused, thinking. The oceanic listening posts might. We installed a network of sonic transmitters on the seafloor to track submarine movements. If we could reprogram them. The Volari don't control the deep ocean, Catherine noted. Our naval forces could access those stations. We'd need a central facility to coordinate the broadcast, Derek added. The Atlantis platform in the mid-Atlantic would work. It's one of our largest underwater bases. Nathan turned to Catherine. How quickly can we reach the platform? We have 3 nuclear submarines still operational in the Atlantic. They could get a team there in a week. Make it happen, Nathan ordered. Kelly, I want your team to join this mission. Your experience fighting Volari on the ground will be valuable. As preparations began, Zachary continued his work on Volari communications. 3 days later, he burst into Nathan's office with alarming news. They've found us, he said, his voice shaking. Volari forces are moving toward the mountain, heavy units coming from 3 directions. They'll be here in less than 48 hours. Nathan immediately called an emergency meeting. We need to evacuate all essential personnel and research to the secondary facility under the Atlantic. Everyone else disperses to fallback positions. We have less than 2 days. The evacuation began immediately. Military helicopters, hidden in mountain caves, were prepared for flight. Essential data was copied and equipment packed. Lisa worked frantically to create more sonic emitters for the defense teams that would stay behind to cover the retreat. As Nathan supervised the evacuation, Catherine approached him with more news. The Volari have increased attacks on coastal cities worldwide. They're pushing toward our known naval bases. I think they suspect what we're planning. Speed up the timetable, Nathan decided. Get the submarine team moving now. We can't wait. Within hours, a specially equipped nuclear submarine departed from a hidden underwater cave in the Gulf of Mexico. On board were Kelly, Lisa, Derek, and a team of naval special forces. Their mission: reach the Atlantis platform and convert the oceanic listening system into a weapon. On the second day of evacuation, the first Volari ships appeared in the sky above the mountain complex. Ground forces began to probe the outer defenses. The trap was closing. Sir, it's time for you to leave, an officer told Nathan, as explosions echoed from the upper levels. Nathan looked around the nearly empty command center. Most of the staff had already been evacuated. Status of the defense teams? In position. The sonic emitters are distributed. They'll buy us as much time as they can. Nathan nodded grimly. He knew many of those staying behind wouldn't survive. Start the data. Purge. Don't leave anything the Volari can use. As Nathan boarded the last helicopter, the mountain shook with explosions. Volari dropships were landing on the upper slopes. Defense teams activated their sonic emitters, causing alien soldiers to fall screaming to the ground. But for every Volari affected, 10 more took their place. The helicopter rose into the night sky as fires burned on the mountainside. Nathan looked back at the complex that had been humanity's last governmental stronghold. Now their hopes rested on an underwater platform and a desperate plan. In the Atlantic Ocean, the submarine carrying Kelly and the science team pushed through dark waters, racing against time. If they failed, there would be nowhere left to run. The Atlantis platform stood as a marvel of human engineering, hidden beneath the waves of the mid-Atlantic. Built before the invasion as a research facility, it now served as one of humanity's last secure bases. Its metal walls gleamed under the harsh artificial lights as Kelly Daniels and her team arrived via submarine. "Welcome to Atlantis," said Commander Steve Rogers, the officer in charge of the platform. "We've been expecting you." Kelly looked around, at the busy control room. People moved with purpose, a stark contrast to the fear and chaos she had seen in many surface refugees. "How many people do you have here?" "Just over 1,000, Steve replied. "Scientists, engineers, military personnel. We've been gathering survivors from coastal bases when we can." Derek Wright whistled as he examined the facility's systems. "This place has everything we need. Power, communications arrays, access to the deep-sea sonic network." Lisa Moore unpacked her equipment with careful hands. "I'll need a lab to refine the sonic frequency. The emitters we used in Chicago were crude. We can make them more effective." They were led to their quarters to rest before beginning work. Kelly couldn't sleep. She stood by a large viewing window, watching fish swim by in the dark ocean outside. Somewhere above them, Volari ships patrolled the skies, and alien soldiers walked through the ruins of human cities. "Sergeant Daniels," a voice called from behind her. Kelly turned to see a young naval officer. "Dr. Blackwood has arrived. He's calling a meeting." Kelly was surprised. She hadn't expected Nathan to reach Atlantis so quickly. In the main conference room, Nathan stood with Admiral Pearson and several other leaders. His face showed new lines of exhaustion, but his eyes remained determined. "The mountain facility is gone," he said without preamble. "The Volari destroyed it completely after our evacuation. They're now in control of every major landmass. But they're still struggling with the oceans." Admiral Pearson pointed to a digital map. "Our submarine fleet has been conducting hit-and-run attacks. The Volari lose ships every time they try to establish dominance over water. Which is why our plan is more important than ever," Nathan continued. "Derek, what's your assessment of the sonic network?" Derek brought up technical schematics on the screen. "The network is intact. We have 247 transmitter stations across the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans. They were designed to listen, but we can reverse them to broadcast. With Lisa's frequency, we could potentially affect every Volari within half a mile of any coastline, worldwide." "Half a mile isn't enough," Kelly pointed out. "Most of their forces are inland." "True," Lisa agreed, "but it's a start, and I think I can increase the range by modifying the frequency. The Volari ear structure is sensitive to specific harmonics. If we get it right, we might extend the effect to several miles inland." "How long?" Nathan asked. "A week to modify the system. Another week to test," Derek estimated. "You have 4 days," Admiral Pearson said firmly. "We've intercepted Volari communications. Emperor Kral is coming to Earth personally. His ship will arrive in 5 days." This news sent a ripple of tension through the room. Kral's presence would mean increased Volari activity, and likely a final push to eliminate remaining human resistance. "There's something else," Zachary added. He had been working at a computer terminal, monitoring Volari transmissions. "We've decoded more of their messages. The reason they want Earth, their home planet is dying. Some kind of environmental catastrophe. They need Earth as a replacement." Nathan absorbed this information. So they're not just conquering for conquest's sake. They're desperate. Desperate? Enemies are the most dangerous, Admiral Pearson warned. Or the most vulnerable, Kelly countered. If Kral is coming here himself, that gives us an opportunity. The next 4 days passed in a blur of activity. Derek and his engineering team worked around the clock to modify the sonic network. Lisa refined her frequency formulas, testing them on captured Valeri technology. Kelly trained a strike team of Naval Special Forces, preparing for a mission that was still taking shape. Meanwhile, Nathan and Catherine coordinated with remaining resistance cells worldwide. Secret messages were passed through underwater cables and via short-range radio when submarines surfaced briefly. A plan was forming, a last, desperate gamble for humanity. On the 4th day, as they prepared for their first full test of the modified sonic network, alarms blared throughout Atlantis. "Valeri ships directly above us," shouted a sensor operator. "Depth charges incoming." The facility shook as explosions rippled through the water above them. Lights flickered and emergency systems activated. "How did they find us?" Nathan demanded. "Unknown, sir," responded a communications officer. "But they're broadcasting on all frequencies. They want us to hear this." The main screen flickered to life, showing a Valeri face with elaborate markings on its gray skin. Unlike the other Valeri they had seen, this one wore a crown-like device on its ridged head. "People of Earth?" The alien spoke in a deep, resonant voice that had been processed through translation software. "I am Emperor Kral. Your resistance ends today. We have located your underwater sanctuaries. They will be destroyed one by one until none remain." Nathan stepped forward, signaling for a channel to be opened. "This is Dr. Nathan Blackwood of Earth. Why are you doing this? Your quarrel isn't with us. We never threatened you." Kral's yellow eyes narrowed. "You exist on the world we need. That is enough. Your species had its chance. You've lived on a paradise and squandered it. We will not make the same mistakes." The transmission cut off as another round of depth charges shook the facility. "Structural damage on levels 3 and 4, reported an engineer. "We're holding, but we can't take much more. We need to activate the sonic network now," Kelly insisted. "Ready or not?" Derek looked concerned. "The system is only at 60% capacity. Many transmitters haven't been fully converted." "It's now or never," Nathan decided. "Do it." Derek nodded and began the activation sequence. Throughout the oceans of Earth, hundreds of sonic transmitters shifted from passive listening devices to active broadcasters. They began emitting a precise frequency, just above human hearing range. On screens throughout Atlantis, they watched as the effect spread. Valeri ships near coastlines suddenly veered off course. Some crashed into the ocean or onto beaches. Communications intercepts picked up confused and pained alien voices. "It's working," Lisa exclaimed. "But the range is limited, just as we feared. Most inland areas aren't affected." Nathan turned to Admiral Pearson. "Launch Operation Thunderclap. Right now." Catherine nodded and began issuing orders. Around the world, hidden human forces that had been waiting for this signal sprang into action. Resistance fighters emerged from hiding, armed with portable sonic emitters based on Lisa's design. Submarines surfaced near coastal cities, firing modified missiles that spread the sonic frequency farther inland. It was chaos, but for once the chaos favored humanity. The Valeri, caught by surprise, found themselves vulnerable for the first time. Above Atlantis, the depth charges had stopped falling. The Valeri ships had pulled back, affected by the sonic broadcast. But a new threat appeared on the sensors. "Massive ship entering Earth orbit," reported a sensor operator. "Significantly larger than any previous Valeri vessel." Zachary looked up from his communications station. "It's Kral's flagship. He's arrived early." Nathan looked at the faces around him. Kelly, Catherine, Derek, Lisa, Zachary. Each had fought in their own way for humanity's survival. Now they faced their greatest challenge. "Prepare the strike team," he ordered. "We're taking the fight to Kral himself." Emperor Kral's flagship hung in Earth orbit like a dark cloud, twice the size of any previous Valeri vessel. Its weapon systems glowed with energy as it prepared to rain destruction on the rebellious planet below. Inside the Atlantis platform, Nathan Blackwood outlined the final plan to a room of grim-faced leaders. The sonic network has given us an advantage, but it's temporary. The Volari are already adapting, developing protections for their troops. Our window is closing, Admiral Pearson agreed. We need to strike now. Kelly Daniels studied the schematics of Krall's flagship on the main screen. How do we even reach it? Our remaining spacecraft can't break orbit with Volari patrols. Derek Wright stepped forward. We modified 3 high-altitude rockets, originally designed for satellite deployment, now repurposed to carry strike teams. They can reach orbit, but... He hesitated. It's a one-way trip. No re-entry capability. A heavy silence fell over the room. Everyone understood what this meant. I'll go, Kelly said firmly. My team is ready. I'm going too, Nathan declared. Admiral Pearson will coordinate from here. He turned to Lisa. How's the enhanced sonic device coming? Lisa held up a metal sphere the size of a basketball. This contains the most powerful emitter we can build. If placed in the flagship's central ventilation system, it will incapacitate every Volari on board. But someone has to manually activate it. The range is limited, so whoever does it will be affected too. I'll do it, Nathan said. No one argued. As preparations for the mission continued, Zachary burst into the room. New Volari transmissions. Intercepted. Reinforcements are arriving early, within hours, not days. On the screen, dozens of new signals appeared, approaching Earth from deep space. The Volari fleet was assembling for their final push. Launch now, Nathan ordered. We can't wait any longer. Within 30 minutes, 3 rockets stood ready in hidden underwater silos. Kelly's team of 12 Special Forces soldiers boarded the first 2 rockets. Nathan, Lisa, Derek, and 3 engineers took the third. As the countdown commenced, Admiral Pearson's voice came through their headsets. All resistance cells are engaging worldwide. Coastal cities are seeing heavy fighting. The sonic network is holding for now, but inland territories remain under Volari control. This ends today one way or another, Nathan replied. The rockets launched with a thunderous roar shooting through the ocean waters and into the sky. Volari patrol ships moved to intercept, but a coordinated attack by Earth's remaining aircraft drew them away. The rockets climbed higher, becoming tiny dots against the blue sky. Inside the third rocket, Nathan checked the sonic device one last time. Lisa had modified it to be more powerful but also more focused. It would only affect a limited area, which gave them a chance to reach the ventilation system before activating it. We're approaching the flagship, announced the pilot. Preparing for docking procedure. They watched through viewports as the massive Volari vessel grew larger. Its surface was covered with weapon emplacements and strange glowing symbols. No ships moved to stop them. They were small enough to avoid the flagship's main sensors. They're not expecting an attack from space, Derek observed. They think we're trapped on Earth. The rocket attached to a maintenance airlock on the flagship's underside. Engineers quickly cut through the outer doors using tools designed for this purpose. Within minutes, they were inside. Remember, we need to reach the central ventilation hub, Nathan reminded everyone. According to the schematics, Zachary pulled from their transmissions, it's 6 levels up from here. They moved through the alien ship, encountering surprisingly little resistance at first. Most of the crew was focused on the planetary bombardment about to begin. When they did meet Volari soldiers, their handheld sonic devices proved effective, dropping the aliens where they stood. Meanwhile, Kelly's team had boarded on the opposite side of the flagship. Their mission was to disable the main weapon systems to prevent the bombardment of Earth. We've reached the weapons control room. Kelly reported through the secure channel. Heavy resistance, 4 team members down, but we're proceeding. Nathan's group continued toward the ventilation hub, fighting through increasingly alert Volari forces. Derek was injured by alien weapon fire, and 2 engineers fell defending their position at a crucial junction. Almost there, Lisa encouraged, helping Derek walk as his leg bled from a deep wound. Just as they reached the massive chamber housing the ventilation controls, alarms blared throughout the ship. A deep, angry voice echoed through the corridors. Emperor Kral had discovered the intruders. Primitive humans, his voice boomed. Your futile resistance ends here. I will personally ensure your extinction. The doors to the ventilation chamber burst open. Emperor Kral stood there, towering over his guards. He was larger than other Volari, his skin darker gray with elaborate markings that glowed with an inner light. In his hand, he held a weapon that hummed with energy. Nathan Blackwood, Kral said, surprising them with his knowledge of human names. Yes, I know who you are. I have studied your species. So much potential, wasted on weakness and sentiment. We're not the ones who destroyed our own planet, Nathan replied, stalling for time as Lisa positioned herself near the ventilation intake. Kral's yellow eyes narrowed. Our world died because we grew too powerful, consumed too much. Yours will serve us better. This world isn't yours to take, Nathan said, his voice growing stronger. Earth belongs to humanity and all the life that evolved here. We won't surrender it to invaders, no matter how powerful. Kral laughed, a harsh sound. Your defiance is pointless. Your species will be reduced to servitude or extinction. The choice is yours. We choose neither, Nathan declared. At that moment, the ship shuddered violently. Kelly's team had reached their objective. The flagship's main weapons were exploding. Kral roared in anger and raised his weapon. Before he could fire, a new sound filled the chamber, a familiar voice no one expected to hear again. Emperor Kral. The voice came from the ship's communication system. This is Commander Olivia Reeves of Earth. Everyone froze, including Kral. Olivia had been presumed dead when the horizon was destroyed. I did not perish with my ship, Olivia's voice continued. I was rescued by the Iridians, the same people your forces nearly exterminated, and I've brought friends. On the flagship's sensors, new ships appeared, dozens of them, from multiple alien races. All had suffered under Volari oppression. All had come to stand with Earth. In the moment of confusion, Nathan nodded to Lisa. She activated the sonic device and threw it into the main ventilation intake. The effect was immediate. Kral and his guards fell to their knees, their sensitive hearing overwhelmed by the precisely tuned frequency. Nathan, feeling the painful pressure of the sound even though it was beyond human hearing, stepped forward to face the fallen emperor. One voice roars across the stars, Nathan said, his words carrying the weight of all humanity had endured. You dared invade Earth. That will be your empire's epitaph. As Kral writhed in pain, Nathan's team secured the ventilation system, ensuring the sonic frequency would spread throughout the ship. Meanwhile, the Allied alien fleet engaged the arriving Volari reinforcements, preventing them from assisting their emperor. Within hours, the tide had turned. The Volari flagship was captured. Earth forces, using the enhanced sonic weapons, pushed back against their oppressors planet-wide. The alien allies, led by Olivia Reeves, helped destroy or capture the Volari reinforcement fleet. 1 month later, Nathan stood on a hillside overlooking the reconstruction of Washington, D.C. Kelly, Lisa, Derek and Zachary stood with him. So did Olivia Reeves, still amazed to be back on Earth. The Volari have sued for peace, Olivia reported. The Galactic Council is overseeing their withdrawal from all conquered worlds. Kral has been removed from power. And Earth? Nathan asked. Earth is being welcomed into the galactic community. Our defense of our world impressed many species. They see potential in us they didn't before. In the sky above them, ships from a dozen alien worlds helped remove the remnants of Volari technology. The stars no longer represented an unknown threat but new possibilities. So what happens now? Kelly asked. Nathan looked up at the evening sky, where the first stars were becoming visible. Now we rebuild, we learn, we grow stronger, and we make sure that if anyone ever dares to invade Earth again, they'll regret it even more than the Volari did.